I'm going to give just a couple seconds here. Hello, Bethany. Hello, my sweet friend. How are you? Give everyone just a second. I feel like I haven't been on in a while here because I haven't been feeling well. All right. Hello, and welcome to Life in the Driver's Seat Live. Today we are going to be talking about how you might be unintentionally creating results in your life. We can either be intentionally creating our results or unintentionally creating results. And I'm going to talk about how you might be unintentionally doing it, and it's not your fault. Your brain is actually working behind the scenes to create your results based off of your thoughts that are usually unconscious. We're not even aware of them. So for those of you who are new to the group, my name is Jacqueline Emery. I'm a certified life coach and founder of a coaching program and a podcast called Life in the Driver's Seat. And my work is all about empowering women to get into the driver's seat of their life so that they can feel better and get more enjoyment out of their life and intentionally create the results in the life that they really want, a life that blows their mind. And like I said, I haven't been on in a little bit here because I don't like speaking those words, but yeah, I haven't been feeling great. So I'm really happy to be back with you guys. But the good news is, while I haven't been feeling well, I feel like the universe is just working for me, and God has just been bringing me the best clients. I've signed just multiple clients that are so beautiful and just the perfect people I want to be working with. So that's what's been going on with me. So I hope you guys are all well, and I'm so excited to finally be back with you guys after weeks of not being here for our live show. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. So like I said, I'm going to be talking about intentionally creating and unintentionally creating our life and our results. So the problem is that most people are living life and they're thinking that their situation or that their circumstances are making them think a certain way. Like the things that happen to them and the people in their life are making them have thoughts. Okay, we think the thoughts come as a result of the things that happen to us in our life. But in reality, it's the thoughts. It's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg. In reality, our thoughts create the life that we experience and the life that we build and the results that we have. All right. And I'm going to prove it to you. So before you start like tuning me out, this isn't some like woo-woo thing, right? So you hear people talk about like manifesting, right? Like you think things into happening. And if you know my work, I like to think about things in like a very logical, like scientific way. So this isn't some woo-woo thing where I'm saying your thoughts are somehow creating your reality. I'm going to walk you through actually 3 ways your brain is working behind the scenes and working subconsciously without you knowing to actually prove your thoughts correct. And that's what I'm labeling this episode is Proved You Right. Because that's what we're going to talk about, is how your brain is actually proving you right. You're thinking thoughts, and then your brain is going to work to prove those thoughts correct and create your reality and create your life and the results that you're experiencing. Okay? So, again, sorry, I'm not looking at my notes, and I should be. But again, keep in mind that we are always creating our results in our life. And we are either doing that involuntarily or like unconsciously or unintentionally, or we are doing that intentionally. And most people are living their life unintentionally or unconsciously creating their reality and their results. So what we want to do is bring awareness to our thoughts and how they are actually shaping our reality. I'm going to tell you how to do that in just a second. But then we can actually decide, right? We can bring awareness to, hey, what are the things that I might be thinking or the story that I'm bringing that is helping create the results that I'm experiencing and the life that I'm creating? And then we can look at it and we can decide if we want to keep thinking those things. And if we don't, what are the things that will serve us? What are the thoughts that will help us intentionally create the life that we do want and the results that we do want in every area, in your relationships, in your finances, in your health, all of it. So, and this results, like when we do this, when we do bring awareness, because the first step is just being aware of what these things are, because most people are just walking through life not even aware. And when we do this, that is when we will start intentionally creating results. Okay. So we're going to get into 3 ways your brain is always working to prove you right. Okay. So the first way your brain, that you're probably not even aware of, but when we think thoughts, we have a reticular activating system, okay? And think of this like a funnel that goes to your brain, okay? Because we see so many things on an everyday basis. We're exposed to so much information that our brain cannot take it all, okay? So to alleviate that, we have something, it's like a tool for the brain. It's called the reticular activating system, and it's like a funnel, and it only lets in what we show it as important. Okay, so think about a great and easy example for everyone is, say you are looking for a vehicle and you're like, okay, I'm going to get this, black Yukon or black Explorer or whatever. And then all of a sudden you start just seeing all kinds of them on the road. You're like, oh my gosh, everyone must be getting this like black Yukon. And it's like, no, it's just your brain is now, because you've shown it, hey, this is important to me. This is, I'm thinking about this, about getting this vehicle. Now your brain's like, all right, I got you. And behind the scenes, like without you trying, your brain is purposely bringing that into your awareness. It's like, hey, there's another black Yukon. Hey, there's another one, right? Where before, because you weren't thinking about it, right? You didn't have the thoughts. You were totally oblivious to all the black Yukons around you. Now it seems like everyone has them because you're bringing it into your awareness. So that's one way your brain is working to show you like what's important by what you're thinking about. So if I'm thinking, say my thought is, no one likes me. Okay. My thought is in my story and my thought that I'm thinking. And remember, you have beliefs and they're just thoughts that you've thought over and over again. And these could be programmed from when you were young. So maybe you went through things and now you just think to yourself like, nobody likes me. I'm always left out, right? I'm never in the in crowd. Okay. So what happens is when you think that, your brain is going to show you and bring into your awareness all of the things to prove that. It's like, all right, nobody likes you. All right. I'm going to prove you right? Like, proved you right. And you're going to start noticing like, oh my gosh, they didn't invite me to this thing. Oh my gosh, these people are sitting together. They didn't ask me to, sit with them. Your brain is going to bring in all of the proof and all of the evidence through that reticular activating system, because that's what you've told your brain is important and true. It's going to look for proof for you. Okay. And it feels very real to you. You're like, yeah, but they didn't invite me and they didn't, right? And it's like, you're noticing all of these things and you have a story and you have a thought about it, right? You're attributing your story and your perspective to it, okay? So when you think things, your brain is going to show you proof of that. And it's going to keep you thinking that thought is very true, okay? Simply because you told your brain what's important. Again, your brain is bringing in what you told it to bring in, okay? Not because that's the fact, but because you are, again, it's like the black Yukon. You're going to see how people don't like you all the time. It's proved to you over and over again. Same with people, thinking, I have clients who think thoughts about their spouses, about their husband. He doesn't pick up, right? He doesn't pick up after himself, or he doesn't pay enough attention to me. Okay, so if my thought is my husband doesn't pay attention to me, doesn't pay enough attention to me, I am constantly noticing all of the ways he doesn't pay attention to me. Or if he doesn't pick up after himself. My brain is constantly again, it's like that filter. It's like that funnel to your brain. It's like collecting all the things. It's like, look he didn't pick his towel up. Look he left a dish out, right? And it's constantly hyper focused on that. That's very important to your brain. It's like, it's going to bring that into your awareness. All of the ways he's not paying attention to you, or all of the ways he's not picking up after himself. Okay. So again, that's the first way that your brain, right? You think something and your brain is going to make that a reality. It's going to prove you right. It's going to keep pushing that same narrative, okay? Because you think it. All right. I could just as easily, I'm going to go in the end, I'm going to get into this, but I could just as easily think, my husband does pay attention to me, or an easier thought, like my husband pays attention to me sometimes, right? And then all of a sudden, because I'm choosing that, I'm going to be like, oh, like he paid attention to me, he took me out the other day, or like, we, whatever, watched a show together, whatever it is. Like all of a sudden you're going to start noticing that instead. Okay. Okay. The second way your brain is working behind the scenes to prove your thoughts correct is something called cognitive dissonance. So cognitive dissonance is when, and this is a way that I guess your brain is really shaping your reality and shaping the results you create and the actions that you take. Okay. So cognitive dissonance is when your thoughts, like the things that you're thinking and the things that you're doing, are different. Okay. Like you're thinking things, but then you're going out and you're taking actions that go against that. And it's called cognitive dissonance, and it's like friction in your brain. It's like it makes your brain very uncomfortable, and you will feel that too, as unhappy and, not fulfilled and frustrated. Like you'll feel that as well, but that's your brain having friction in your brain because you're thinking different things than what you're showing up and you're doing and the action you're taking in your life. Okay. So like an example of this is if I'm thinking, and again, this can be from experiences and from programming and whatever, but if I'm thinking people who make money are greedy and, so I'm thinking, people who make money are greedy and nobody likes them, right? People who have money are bad people. And then I'm trying to go out and make money and start a business, and I'm wondering why my business isn't taking off and why I can't pay the bills and stuff, right? It's because there's a difference in what I'm believing and what I'm saying that I want to go do, right? And it's like friction in your brain. And eventually your brain wants to create harmony there. Your brain wants you to be taking the action from the thoughts, right? The thoughts and the feelings. So that's why it's very hard for people to go out and create results when they're thinking a different thought. Right? Like it doesn't add up, and it's tiring and it doesn't feel good. And eventually you go back to your identity. You go back to your thoughts and your beliefs and your identity. You might be able to take different actions for a short amount of time, but it's almost impossible to create real change without changing your thoughts and your identity, right? Because that is what pushes how you feel, and how you feel is what pushes the actions that you take. Okay. The third way your brain is working behind the scenes to prove your thoughts correct is, if you know anything about my work, I love teaching my clients about how the human brain works. And it's so simple. Once you really understand how the brain works, you can kind of just separate yourself from it and be like, oh, that's my brain. It's my brain at work, right? It feels so real. But your brain is always telling you to do three things. It's always telling you to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy, which is being correct and being efficient, being right, doing things the same way. It's where you see habits come in. And that's the part that I want to talk about today, is the third part, the efficiency part. When you think a thought, your brain's like, all right, let's go. Your brain is not wired to, I always tell my clients, your brain's not wired for growth, and they hate to hear it, but it's like, once you know this, you're empowered to create change. You're like, I got it. I understand it. Okay. So the brain wants to be efficient. Like it wants to keep thinking the same things. It doesn't want you to change your thoughts and grow. And why is that? Because growth is scary. Growth, your brain wants to just keep you safe and keep you alive. It doesn't want you outgrowing and putting your survival on the line. It's like, hey, we're doing just fine here. We're surviving. Let's not mix anything up. Your brain wants to be right. So again, when you're thinking something, your brain wants to do everything it can subconsciously behind the scenes without you even knowing. It wants to keep that going, because that's conserving energy. It wants to be efficient. It wants to be correct. even if that thought is not correct. Your brain wants to make that into a reality. And that's when I say it's like people talk about like manifesting in this woo-woo thing. And it's like there is a lot of reality in that and like truth in that. But for what reason, right? We can either look at it as like a woo-woo, like spiritual thing, like working behind the scenes, or we can look at it as like a logical, scientific, like, oh, my brain is actually trying to, like, it's wired a certain way to actually make things happen. It's like, which is true? Is it a combination of both? Who knows, right? We'll say a combination of both, but there is a lot of like logical truth to that. When people talk about manifesting, it's like, they just might not know how the human brain works, but there's a lot of power in that. Okay. So you can see how when your thoughts go unchecked, like your story and your thoughts go unchecked, your brain can do a pretty good job, right, of making that seem very real, proving it to you and making it a reality. And through that, creating your results and ultimately the life that you live in the life that you create. Okay. But this is like good news, okay? Because if that's the case and your brain's doing all of this and we look at it like, oh my gosh, like, how do I stop these things? I'm thinking all these bad things. I'm scared, right? We're creating these things unintentionally. But this can be good news too, because that means you can also use your brain the other way to prove you right? You can also choose intentionally what you want to think and let your brain intentionally, like, or behind the scenes, you can intentionally choose your thoughts and let your brain go to work creating that reality. Okay. And like once those thoughts become your new beliefs, again, it's kind of like you pick up momentum and it becomes easy. It becomes who you are because your brain's on board with you. Okay. So I want to give you, I'm going to give you just three things you can do, like 3 actions for today that you can do to start thinking intentionally. Okay. To start using your brain the way that we just talked about. Okay. So I want you to think of an area in your life like that you want to change. Okay. You wish it was different. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to like brainstorm, like just think of that area and I want you to bring awareness, like brainstorm and think, what story, like what thoughts or what story am I bringing to the table? And this can be about other people. This can be about yourself. Like, what am I bringing to the table? I love thinking about relationships too, just really quick while we're on this, but like, if I think something, like there's been people in my life that like, I think, oh my gosh, they're a negative person. They're, I don't even want to see them or hang out with them. They're a negative person. They're not nice. I don't feel good when and I have these thoughts about them. And that creates like, as soon as I'm with them, right? I'm expecting them to be negative. I'm looking for that. I'm pulling that out of them, right? Because I'm on high. That's my thought about them. So I'm constantly waiting. Like, when are they? Oh, see, look, they're being negative. Oh, they're not being nice. And it's like, how are we creating that too? Like, we're looking out for it, but how does that affect us too? If I'm just expecting this person to be negative and not kind, like, how am I showing up when that's my thought about them? Like, how does that influence the way I show up and the way I interact with them and the feelings I have, right? And through that, I'm creating them being negative and them not being nice. And I'm thinking, oh, see, I knew it. I knew that person wasn't nice and they were negative and I don't like hanging out with them, right? It's very interesting. So anyway, that was just a quick thing on relationships, but bringing awareness to what story or what thoughts you're bringing to this area of your life. Just brainstorm. Just think like, what could, like, maybe, right? I know people don't like to like blame themselves, right? We're not saying that, but just think like, are there things that maybe I'm thinking that I'm bringing to this situation and this circumstance in my life that might be influencing how I'm experiencing it and my perspective and my bending my reality, right? And how I'm experiencing this in my life. And I want you guys to brainstorm, like, what are the thoughts? What are the stories that go with that area? The second thing that you can do is like, once you come up with those thoughts, you're like, yeah, I might be thinking this. I might have these thoughts or this story. The second thing is just deciding, right? If you want to keep thinking that, do you want to keep thinking that thought over and over again? Like most people, most of the time, it's just subconscious. Like we're not aware of it. We're just unconscious living. But bringing awareness to it brings up like, now we have a decision. Like, Do we want to keep thinking that? Do we want to keep repeating that and having that become our belief and our story and our identity and how we experience life and what we create in our life? And then the third thing you can do is choose intentional thoughts. And this isn't just positive thinking, like, I need to think I had a client say that they're like, oh, I have to think the opposite. It's like, no, like, think what is true. Like, what is something true that you would rather think? Like, I use the example of the husband. It's like, he sometimes pays attention to me, right? That's a much better thought than he never pays attention to me. He's a terrible husband, right? Like, it doesn't have to be this, oh, I better just think great thoughts. Like, no, think of what is true and what would you rather direct your brain to, and what would you rather believe that will serve you. Okay, a real, true thought that you believe, right, that you would rather direct your brain to. Okay, it'll change everything. And then you want to practice that. I guess that could be step 4, but I put it in step 3, choosing your intentional thoughts and practicing them as much as possible. I teach my clients tools, like certain times to use things, and I teach something called a thought pivot, where it's like as soon as they think that old thought that they don't want to think anymore, they thought pivot like to their new thought over and over again. And once you do this enough, this becomes your new, right? A belief is just a thought you thought over and over again. And once you do this enough, then the new thought becomes your new belief, and your beliefs become your identity. Your identity is how you show up. It's how you take action. It's how you see the world, everything around you, every circumstance, every person. Okay, it becomes who you are. And these steps are included, like this is the work I do with my clients. This is in my Life in the Driver's Seat program. It's like the first part of the program, the first half of the program is all about helping you become the person that's able to make change, that's able to take new action, right? But when we have all this going on, most people just want to jump to like, hey, let's make change. Let's take different actions. And it's like, no, there's so much going on inside of you that you haven't even brought into awareness. You're not even conscious of it. You're not being intentional with it. So this is absolutely the work I do with my clients within my program, my Life in the Driver's Seat program. If you find yourself like relating to this and you're like, oh, I can think of the stories and the thoughts I'm bringing that might be creating my results, I would love to help you with that. I offer a free 1-hour coaching session, like a consult where we can chat. I can hear all about you, what's going on, what you're currently experiencing, what you want to be experiencing instead. People have so many breakthroughs on these calls. They're amazing. So if you want to book that free hour, go to JacquelineEmery.com/consult and just pick a time that works for you. And I would love to connect with you. Okay. That's what I got for you today, my lovelies. I love you guys and have a great rest of the week. Bye.